Our final transformation has to do with absolute value. And when we take the absolute value of a function, if you take the absolute value of the whole function, any part that's below the x-axis gets flipped above the x-axis. If you just take the absolute value of x, any part that is to the left of the y-axis gets reflected over the y-axis. So let's actually do a couple of those problems. You can see how it works. It's kind of weird is what it is. So if I take a look at example 12, I've got this function, x squared minus 4x plus 3, and I'm going to do the absolute value of that function. So I'm doing the whole function. So any part that's below my x-axis here is going to get flipped above my x-axis. So if I take a look at my 3 points here, there's my zeros. And then if I look at this point, I'm down 1, aren't I? So what I'm going to do when I'm on a graph over here, the zeros are going to stay the same. So we got, let me see, 1, 2 is at -1. So in other words, this goes to +1. And then we got our 3. So my parabola still stays the same for any other part. But then, I don't like, there we go. I want it to look like that. So it's got kind of a U in it there, doesn't it? Now what happens on question 14, I'm only taking the absolute value of the x. So I'm going to flip that over the y-axis. So what happens here is my graph is going to look the same. Let me erase what we had here from our previous one. My graph is going to look the same going to the right. That part doesn't change. So I'm going to plot a couple of those points so you can see that. So I'm over, my y-intercept is at 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go up 3 here. When I'm at 2, I'm at -1, I do believe. Okay. So this part doesn't change. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that over the y-axis. So when I flip it over the y-axis, it's kind of weird looking. So in other words, this point stays the same. And then when I'm at 2, I'm at -2, this y value is going to be the same. So then I'm going to my graph is going to look something like that. I guess I should erase this part right here because it stops right here. I went too far there. And there is your graph with absolute value. That's kind of a weird one. At least I think it's weird.